The locksmith looked at me strangely when I asked him not to ring the bell. "Just text when you're done," I told him. He glanced past me toward the house. Big colonial in North Scottsdale. Perfect hedges. 2 cars in the driveway. The kind of place people assume is stable. I used to assume that too. My husband Ethan had been working late for 3 months. Nothing dramatic at first, just little shifts. Showering before bed instead of in the morning. Turning his phone face down. Smiling at texts he never answered around me. You can feel betrayal before you can prove it. That's the cruel part. The locksmith finished changing the garage keypad and handed me the temporary code. "Want me to test it?" he asked. "No," I said. "I'm counting on someone else doing that." At 6:12, my sister called. "You still doing this?" I watched the house through my windshield. "Yeah." "You could just confront him like a normal person." I almost laughed. Normal people don't spend 4 months pretending not to notice receipts hidden inside golf magazines. Normal people don't memorize another woman's perfume because it keeps showing up on their husband's jackets. "I'm not trying to catch him cheating anymore," I said quietly. "I already know." "What are you trying to do?" I looked at the front door. Make him tell the truth without warning. At 6:47, Ethan's Tesla pulled into the driveway. But he wasn't alone. The woman who stepped out of the passenger seat was younger than me by maybe 10 years. Dark hair, cream sweater, nervous smile. Not nervous enough to leave. They walked into my house, laughing. My house. I waited 30 seconds. Then I opened the neighborhood app on my phone and posted, "Whoever parked the black Tesla crooked on Palo Verde is blocking part of the sidewalk again." Petty? Absolutely. But people in our neighborhood notice everything. Within 2 minutes, Mrs. Delaney across the street stepped outside with her little dog and started staring directly at Ethan's driveway. Good. I walked to the front door and let myself in. The smell hit first. Garlic. Wine. My candles. Ethan froze when he saw me. The woman standing beside my kitchen island didn't. That surprised me. She looked at me calmly, almost carefully, like she already knew who I was. Which meant he'd talked about me. A lot. "Claire," Ethan said too quickly, "you weren't supposed to be home tonight." Not, "What are you doing here?" Interesting. I set my purse down slowly. The woman gave a tiny, awkward smile. "I'm Sienna." I looked at her. I know. That landed harder than yelling would have. Ethan stepped forward immediately. "Can we not do this right now?" I glanced around the kitchen. Half-open wine bottle, 2 plates, music playing softly from the ceiling speakers. They'd built an evening here, inside my life. "You invited her into my house," I said. "It's not what you think." There it was. The sentence every guilty person reaches for when the evidence is literally breathing. Sienna shifted uncomfortably. Good. But then she said something I didn't expect. "He told me you were separated." The room changed. Ethan turned toward her so fast, it almost looked painful. "Sienna." "No," she said quietly, staring at him now. "You said she moved out." I watched his face carefully. That was the moment I realized something important. He hadn't been managing one lie. He'd been managing 2 completely different realities. And suddenly, they were standing in the same kitchen. He started talking fast after that. Too fast. "Okay, everybody just calm down." "Did you tell her we were divorced?" I asked. "It was complicated." That's not an answer. Sienna looked genuinely sick now. "When were you going to tell me?" she asked him. Ethan rubbed both hands over his face. "I was trying to figure things out." That phrase, people say, "figure things out," when they want credit for delaying consequences. I leaned against the counter. "You told her I moved out?" Silence. Then, quietly, "Yes." I nodded once, not because I accepted it, because something inside me had finally stopped trying to save him. The front doorbell rang. Ethan frowned immediately. "What now?" I checked my phone. Probably the locksmith. His expression changed, slowly. What locksmith? I held his gaze. The one who changed every access code to the house an hour ago. For the first time that night, he looked scared. Real fear. Not embarrassment, not panic. Loss. You changed the codes? You said I moved out, I replied, so I figured I should stop acting like I still live here. Sienna looked between us, then at him, then back at me. You own this house together? I answered before Ethan could. No, I inherited it from my mother. That one almost physically hit him, because suddenly the performance collapsed. The successful husband, the stable marriage, the future he'd probably been selling her. None of it looked solid anymore. Mrs. Delaney was still outside pretending to adjust her roses while openly watching through the front windows. Honestly, that made the whole thing better. Ethan lowered his voice. Claire, don't do this. I stared at him. Do what? Humiliate me. That word sat in the air for a second. Humiliate. Interesting choice from a man standing in my kitchen with another woman drinking my wine. Sienna picked up her purse. I should leave. Ethan turned instantly. Sienna, wait! But she was already looking at him differently now. Not romantically, carefully, like she was mentally replaying every conversation they'd ever had and realizing the math no longer worked. Before leaving, she paused beside me. I honestly didn't know, she said. And weirdly, I believed her. After she left, Ethan and I stood in silence. No screaming, no dramatic breakdown, just the low hum of the refrigerator and 30 feet of emotional wreckage between us. Finally, he said, So, what happens now? I looked around the kitchen, at the candles, at the half-finished wine, at the life I'd spent 15 years protecting. Then I looked at him. You start packing before the garage code stops working too.